Redmi Note 8 Pro is one of the best mid-range phones that you can buy right now. It's got one of the best camera modules. On the other hand, the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 is among the best flagship phones at the moment. How does a camera of the best mid-range device stack up against the camera of one of the best flagship devices? That is exactly what we are going to find out in this video. Now this is a very unusual comparison, and I do know that I am making this weird comparison and putting it up here, but let me tell you a few reasons why I am making this. First of all, I want to show you guys how good the cameras of the mid-range phones have become, that they can easily stack up against the cameras of the flagship devices. And other reason to make this comparison is to find out whether or not it's really worth spending those extra bucks on a phone like the Samsung Galaxy Note 10. One more reason that I'm interested in is that the sensor on the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus is Samsung's own, and the sensor on the Redmi Note 8 Pro is also manufactured by Samsung. So I want to see how these sensors produced by the same company stack up against each other. And the last reason is why not. I had the Galaxy Note 10 and the Redmi Note 8 Pro lying around, and I thought why not to make the best out of this opportunity of having both the phones around. Now before we begin, please hit the subscribe button because I've been struggling with the subscriber count on my channel, and if you like this video at some point, make sure that you hit the thumbs up button too. Let's take a look at the comparison without any further ado. First of all, we have the Redmi Note 8 Pro. It has a 2 megapixel depth sensor at the top. This camera has an aperture of f1.4. After this, we have a 64 megapixels Samsung ISO Cell GW1 sensor with an aperture of f1.9. It's a 26mm wide sensor. This is an electronically stabilized shooter. The third camera is a 120 degrees wide ultra-wide camera. It's an 8 megapixel sensor and it has an aperture of f2.2. The fourth camera next to the LED flash is the macro shooter. It's a 2 megapixel camera with f2.4. On the front, the Redmi Note 8 Pro has a single 20 megapixels camera with f2.0. On the Galaxy Note 10, we have the main 12MP wide camera with variable aperture between f1.5 to 2.4. We have a telephoto 12 megapixels camera with f2.1, and then we have a 16 megapixels ultra wide camera with 123 degree field of view. It has an aperture of f2.2. On the front, the Note 10 has a single 10 megapixels camera with f2.2 aperture. Note 10's cameras are optically stabilized. Let's take a look at the camera samples shot by both these smartphones now. In this first picture, there is a huge difference between the colors. The shadows are a bit darker on the Redmi Note 8 Pro. It can be clearly seen that the Redmi Note 8 Pro isn't doing great with the details. Galaxy Note 10 is doing great with the details. Edge detection of the Redmi Note 8 Pro is poor as well. Redmi Note 8 Pro can capture pictures in the 64 megapixels mode or the 16 megapixels mode with the help of the pixel binning, but the only difference is the file size. 64 megapixels mode is not bringing in a lot of details or differentiating the colors. This 64 megapixel is a gimmicky camera, and you must know that it doesn't make a real difference in the pictures. Redmi Note 8 Pro tries to bring in more light, which is not needed. Note 10 is trying to maintain the colors. The picture on the Note 10 looks crispy. Once again, the details are better on the Note 10. And I have no idea what's the Note 10 doing with the colors here. It does maintain the details, but the picture is too much oversaturated. If there is one point where the Redmi Note 8 Pro wins over the Galaxy Note 10, it's the macro camera. When you try to shoot an object too close or too small to the camera, the Note 10 fails. Even if I switch to the ultra wide camera and take it close to the object, the Note 10 fails once again. The Redmi Note 8 Pro definitely has this one edge, and this should be enough to make the Redmi Note 8 Pro owners happy. This is a good picture on both phones. Redmi Note 8 Pro has a whitish touch and the Note 10 has a slightly yellow tint. Shadows on the Redmi Note 8 Pro are very dark. In the outdoor pictures, the Redmi Note 8 Pro suffers. It suffers with the details at first and then it suffers with the dynamic range. It overexposes the highlights. Redmi Note 8 Pro doesn't do very good with the shadows either. It lights up the background so much that the foreground doesn't look very neat. But that's not a huge deal keeping in view this phone's price point. The Note 10 has that amazing dynamic range because it's got a flagship sensor inside. Even in the ultra-wide shots, the Redmi Note 8 Pro suffers with both the dynamic range and the details. In fact, the quality gets worse in the ultra-wide pictures. On the other hand, the Note 10 maintains the balance. In the 10x zoom, the Note 10 wins because it has a telephoto shooter. Overall, the Note 10 has a better performance in the broad daylight photography. These two particular pictures are my favorite on both the phones. Yes, the Note 10 is still ahead here, but this is a proof that the Redmi Note 8 Pro can sometimes take super pictures like this. The details are fine and overall the picture is good. Take a look at this grill. On the Note 10, you can clearly see what's behind this grill, while the Redmi Note 8 Pro's details are not good enough to see that. A look at this color of this triangle. It's very bright on the Note 10 and dark on the Redmi Note 8 Pro. Note 10 is trying to keep the shadows slightly bright. The dynamic range can be judged in all the indoor pictures. The Note 10 keeps most of the aspects of a picture viewable, while the Redmi Note 8 Pro completely washes out some parts. Even when you try to focus on something particularly, the Redmi Note 8 Pro will suffer. Indoor ultra-wide pictures look great on both phones, but as mentioned earlier, you will not get those details on the Redmi Note 8 Pro. In the normal picture, you can see that there is a huge difference between the colors. Dynamic range difference is obviously there. Yellow looks yellow on the Note 10 and the yellow looks close to orange maybe on the Redmi Note 8 Pro. Both phones blur the background when possible, but the Redmi Note 8 Pro tries to darken a few areas, which sometimes looks great. This choice should be entirely your own. The Note 10 is taking a very soft picture once again, and the Redmi Note 8 Pro is trying to bring in a little bit of sharpness. The shadows are well exposed on the Note 10 once again. While the Redmi Note 8 Pro is darkening everything, details are not too bad on the Redmi Note 8 Pro this time. Even in the portrait versus the live focus mode, the Redmi Note 8 Pro is darkening some areas. The Note 10 keeps them bright. In the outdoor picture when the camera faces the sun, the Redmi Note 8 Pro suffers once again, and the Note 10 maintains colors, dynamic range and the highlights. When the subject is facing the sun, both phones do a good job. The Note 10 has slightly better saturation in this one. In the portrait versus live focus mode here, I am personally liking the picture taken on the Redmi Note 8 Pro. Yes, the Note 10 does have an intense background blur, but the picture is more lively on the Redmi Note 8 Pro's side. Note 10 has softened the picture. If you try to look at the background in the picture, the dynamic range of the Note 10 comes outstanding. Redmi Note 8 Pro fails to bring in accurate colors. The highlight treatment is not so good. The background is overexposed. In the selfies, the Redmi Note 8 Pro softens as much as it can. Galaxy Note 10 also has its beauty mode turned on, but it doesn't fake the pictures as much as the Redmi Note 8 Pro does. Because of this, the Redmi Note 8 compromises on the details and the Note 10 has got them better. In all the environments, the selfies come out better on the Galaxy Note 10. Even in the portrait mode versus a live focus mode, the Redmi Note 8 Pro once again does what it does with the rear camera portraits. It ends up darkening the unwanted areas. The Note 10 on the other side tries to show most parts of the picture. Redmi Note 8 Pro's selfies look incredible in some scenarios. For example, the selfies taken out in the extreme sunshine do not look bad at all. Taking a look at some more outdoor pictures, The Redmi Note 8 Pro does try to do its best but fails when it comes to the dynamic range. It does have its HDR mode turned on, but that doesn't help it much. The colors of the Galaxy Note 10 are self-explanatory. While trying to capture the sun, the Redmi Note 8 Pro's colors get awkward. Especially the sky, it looks very strange. Redmi Note 8 Pro completely forgets focusing on the foreground. The Galaxy Note 10 does the opposite. The same happens in the normal wide mode as well. I have a personal love with those contrails in the sky, and I take a lot of such photos. Surprisingly, the Redmi Note 8 Pro doesn't entirely fail here. It tries its best to bring those in. Yes, the buildings do not look as bright as they look on the Note 10, but the chemtrails are very close to the ones on the Galaxy Note 10. Chemtrails get better in the ultra-wide mode. The colors are a bit off, but I guess one can manage with these colors. There is a warmer effect on the Redmi Note 8 Pro's pictures. Note 10 tries to keep the details as high as possible once again. In the 10x zoom, the Redmi Note 8 Pro has very bad details. Redmi Note 8 Pro has the main 64 megapixels camera, which is supposed to take better low light pictures with the help of its pixel binning. But that's not exactly what happens here. It brings in a lot of noise in low light. It suffers with almost everything. Even when trying to capture the night mode, the output isn't great. The noise damages the pictures completely. Note 10's night mode is much better than the Redmi Note 8 Pro. This is the Redmi Note 8 Pro's front camera, which shoots a maximum of 1080p at 30 fps. You can definitely get an idea about the voice recording quality of its mic, and you can also see if the footage is stable enough or not. And now this is the front camera of the Samsung Galaxy Note 10. This phone shoots in 4K mode from the front camera as well, but of course I'm not going to show you that in comparison to the Redmi Note 8 Pro's camera. The video that you are watching right now, it's being shot at 1080p at 30 fps. Let me know about the voice recording quality of the Note 10. When it comes to capturing the videos on both phones, the Redmi Note 8 Pro and the Note 10 both support 4K at 30 fps. Yes, the Note 10 has 4K at 60 fps too, but I am talking about the modes that are common on both the phones. The Note 10 has OIS in its cameras, while the Redmi Note 8 Pro has EIS, which only works in the 1080p at 30 fps mode. Both phones also support 1080p at 60 fps and 1080p at 30 fps in normal and the ultra-wide modes. In the ultra-wide mode, the details of the Redmi Note 8 Pro worsen, and the Note 10 is doing a fabulous job once again. It must be kept in mind here that OIS is always a lot more better than EIS, and that can be clearly seen here. That's pretty much it for now. It's time for the verdict. Redmi Note 8 Pro has a camera inferior to the Galaxy Note 10, but that doesn't make it a bad phone. In its price, as mentioned earlier, it's a great camera, and it will probably get better with future software updates. The Note 10 on the other hand proves itself, and it doesn't need any further explanation. In the end, it drills down to your own personal preference. Someone may like the pictures taken on the Redmi Note 8 Pro, and some may like it from the Samsung Galaxy Note 10. Don't forget to write down your own thoughts in the comment section down below. Also make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the like button if you liked this video at some point. I will see you in the next one really soon.